2022 has been a year filled with excitement for fantasy television fans, with two of the biggest franchises in media history both releasing new shows. Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings each have another entry installed in their respective franchises, in the form of House of the Dragon and the Rings of Power. Both shows have had a wide difference in terms of their quality according to the audience, and there's a clear line of reasoning behind this. There's a simple tale that highlights the dichotomy of each respective show's path, with each being able to be summed up in one word. Following the release of the 8th and final season of Game of Thrones, fans and critics were massively disappointed in its conclusion. Riddled with problems throughout, like the lack of source material written before the production of the show, the shorter episode count, and straight-up character-destroying moments, it would be safe to say that the series had been ruined for many. The overall gap in quality, from the beginning and middle seasons to the end seasons, is enormous, easily one of the biggest in television history. Leaving a lingering, sour taste in the viewer's mouth, the disappointment permeated through the social media landscape, never fully dissipating to this day. In June of this year, a Jon Snow sequel series with Kit Harington was reportedly in the early phases of development, thereby solidifying the ever-growing need to remedy the series' ending. This sentiment carried over into the announcement of the House of the Dragon's production, garnering the attention of many skeptics. One thing was certainly clear: it had to succeed. Redemption and hope for the future of the world were needed, and it was delivered. Following the show's premiere on August 21st, the biggest in HBO's history with over 10 million viewers, it was already renewed for a second season just 5 days later. Contrary to the mythos of Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon solely keeps its focus on the titular Targaryen dynasty and its rise to infamy. While most successful and popular fantasy shows are known for their broad scope and sweeping, grand complex plots, House of the Dragon succeeds by doing the very opposite, supplying a grounded story that places a heavy emphasis on character development. By taking this careful approach, the showrunners made a rather intelligent decision that may have gone unnoticed by many, capturing the attention and love of the novel purists and newer fans by building the world from the bottom up while adding the right amount of action set pieces allowed the perfect balance to be struck between both aspects of the show. The cast fully utilized already seasoned actors like Matt Smith and Olivia Cooke, all while paving the future for younger talents like Millie Alcock and Emily Carey. Paddy Considine's King Viserys received the same treatment as Sean Bean's Ned Stark, fueling the desire to see more iconic performances, no matter the length. Fire and Blood, George R.R. Martin's chronicle-like format book, was also taken advantage of. While the material inspired by Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire series is regarded to contain the best moments in all of Game of Thrones, Fire and Blood's adaptability served an unintentionally brilliant purpose. While some parts of the book are written in the second person, those which are narrated unreliably, its non-narrative structure allowed the writers to capitalize on how they wanted to tell the particular story. Weaving in the unwritten history feels like an entirely new experience, one where no one feels left out. The original run of Gott's deranged descent into chaos mirrors the mixing of random chemicals with the ultimate intent of trying to create the biggest explosion, an unstoppable force driven by nature rather than nurture. House of the Dragon is methodical in its buildup, and it's evident that the lust for power spawns from the combining of two elements that do not match. In this world, the individual, and solely the individual, bears consequences that extend through generations. Because of this, I was hooked after the first episode. It takes a lot more for me to get into a show rather than a film, and my optimism was rewarded in this case, and I'm sure many feel the same way. I am more than satisfied with the way the story seems to be headed. This giant step forward has put the bar one notch higher, and by 2024, this show will hopefully relight the glimmer of hope that has been missing for millions, finally illuminating the darkness that has shrouded the world of God for so long. It is evident that the mistakes made were put to good use. If Season 2 matches the overall quality of its predecessor, I believe that the previous passion that many have lost will finally be restored. The Rings of Power has had quite a different claim to fame. Peter Jackson's original 3 Lord of the Rings films now make up the most lauded mainstream film trilogy in cinema history, leading hardcore fans of it to believe that the only direction to go was down. When a major corporation takes the reins of a beloved film series or franchise, the results have been subpar at best. All of Marvel's Disney Plus original shows have been disappointing. The failure to balance the DCEU has also upset a core group of fans, and it seems as if the common priority is to produce the most content in the shortest period. The political backlash that the Rings of Power received also did not contribute to its already tanking reputation, and the show was review bombed on Amazon itself, so much to the point where the ratings were temporarily disabled. Succession is quite a difficult process in this case, and it is worrying to see where the series is going as of now. The show is the most expensive TV show ever made, but it somehow has been completely overshadowed by House of the Dragon critically. Any sign of overwhelmingly positive feedback has been hard to come across, with many of the common complaints focusing on its lack of similarity to Tolkien's original writing. Contrary to its competitor, the plot is executed on a grand scale, with the higher emphasis on fulfilling a singular narrative goal. There's certainly a higher amount of lore thrown in the show as well, making it rather difficult for casual fans to get involved. This, combined with the lack of star power, doesn't help. By no means am I an LOTR expert, so I'm basing most of this on the constant division through what I've seen from online discourse. Visually speaking, the show is crafted impeccably, but its lack of connection to the audience dilutes this. The characters aren't as fleshed out as they should be, sometimes feeling slightly one-dimensional, and aside from its technicalities, there's nothing that outstanding about it as a whole. But writing off the work entirely from what we've seen so far would be a complete disservice to the clear talent that is present within it. Judging this now would be the same as only watching Season 8 of GOT. The most overhated part of the show for me is the acting. Everyone in the cast gets the job done without any major issues. Galadriel in particular has been subject to most of the criticism, and anyone who says that Morfydd Clark is a bad actress hasn't seen Saint Maud. The writing, without a doubt, is at the forefront of the overarching issue rather than the actors' performances themselves. The world building also significantly improves with the show's progression, ultimately building an atmosphere that holds up alongside the original trilogy. Beneath the surface layer of superficiality that is undeniably present in some way, a genuine, passionate story is waiting to be told. Find the balance between the source material and something new. That's where the key lies. Hopefully the showrunners will learn from the plethora of actual valid criticism there is out there and use the other side's negative energy to fuel the future. Despite its various shortcomings, it is far from a bad show. The political intricacies involved prior to the release directed most of the attention from where it should have been placed, critiquing the quality. On a raw cinematic level, the production is immaculate, and I respect the unbounded ambition the project takes us on. The scope of the world and the complexity of the characters are waiting to be unraveled. The tools just haven't been found yet. The comparisons between both of these shows might not have been intentional for the most part by the fans and media, but as of now, there is a clear winner for me. House of the Dragon's path to redemption seems to be destined for greatness, while the Rings of Power seems to be set up to imminently fall prey to the very same trap of GOT's ending. The path it embarks on may end up being the exact same as its competitor following the release of the second season. Only time will tell. I shall remain optimistic as always. In the end, all waves must fall and rise with the coming of the tide. I encourage you to continue watching both of the shows to form your own opinion if you haven't already finished either of them. I'll be sticking around no matter what, through the highs and lows. What are your favorite parts and problems of each show? I'd love to hear what you think in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Be sure to subscribe with notifications on and leave a like for all your film-related needs. If you'd like to support my work even further, please consider checking out my Patreon. The link is in the description. Thank you very much to those who already have. You can also follow me on Instagram @CinemaToTheMax to get instant updates. I'll see you in the next season.